gas and car prices are skyrocketing, and the 2035 combustion engine car ban is fast approaching. So, are EV trucks worth buying? Today, I'm looking at electric trucks 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning, the Rivian R1T, the Tesla Cybertruck, and the new Ram EV truck. We'll also see which one you should avoid like the plague. 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning was just released on the market. So how good is this truck, really? But before I get into specifics, first let's talk about price, starting with the Tesla Cybertruck. Tesla is already at the top of the EV game. Also, it's the price tag. This Cybertruck is expected to come in at $39,000. Compare that to the Rivian R1T, for example, which starts at $67,500. And you can see why there's already so much hype around the Cybertruck. Let's start with things people care about. That includes driving range. Most truck drivers use their vehicles as workhorses. So, which EV truck has the best driving range when the truck isn't loaded with cargo? First up, we got the Ford F-150 Lightning. Did you know that the F-150 Lightning comes with two powerful battery options? It all depends on the driving range you're looking for. The extended range battery pack gives you a range of up to 320 miles, while the standard range battery offers only up to 230 miles of range. Then there's the 2022 Rivian R1T with a maximum driving range of 314 miles. Not bad, but not as good compared to Ford F-150 Lightning extended range battery. Well, what about the Tesla Cybertruck? The single motor rear-wheel drive version offers up to 250 miles of range. The dual motor all-wheel drive version can reach up to 300 miles of range. And the tri-motor all-wheel drive version is able to reach a whopping 500 miles of range. But that's not the only EV truck on today's list with up to 500 miles of driving range. Ram has stated that their 1500 electric pickup will also have a driving range of 500 miles. Talk about impressive driving ranges. But if you're going to get an EV truck, you're most likely going to load it with cargo and tow things, which of course impacts driving range, because the more weight your car is carrying, the more energy it will drain, and the faster it will drain it. Well, here's the thing. These are all brand new models. Some haven't even been released yet. That also means they haven't been tested out on the road completely loaded up. The only EV truck that's been tested fully loaded is the Ford F-150 Lightning. With 1,000 pounds of payload on board, this truck has a 300-mile driving range with the extended battery. As for the other trucks, there's no data yet. But now, let's talk about towing capacity. Your truck's towing capacity is the maximum amount of weight it can safely pull. This capacity can change based on how your truck is configured, how much weight it's carrying, and how you control and distribute the load you're towing. Manufacturers publish a towing capacity for each vehicle they build, but you can't always trust those numbers for your personal driving situations. That's because their calculations are based on the assumption that the vehicle is carrying only one driver. It doesn't account for any passengers. So let's say you're planning to drive down south to your family this summer and you tow your trailer behind. In that case, the manufacturer's calculations will not be accurate for your load. So to know the accurate towing capacity for your specific situation, you have to calculate the towing capacity yourself. So how could you do that? Well, you need to know the full GCVWR of the vehicle you plan to tow. GCVWR stands for Gross Combined Vehicle Weight Rate. And you need to know this number together with all the cargo you'll be carrying, from wiper fluid to passengers. Then you'll need to know your truck's curb weight. Curb weight is the full weight of your truck without you or anyone else in the truck. Your truck's weight does include, though, all the necessary fluids to keep it running, like gas, oil, and radiator fluid. You can find the curb weight in the car manual. When you subtract your car's curb weight from your GCVWR, that'll give you your truck's towing capacity. Now, here's something very important you should never forget. Manufacturers will always tell you should never exceed your vehicle's towing capacity. And they're 100% right. I'd even go so far as saying, for safety reasons, it's best you never come within 10% of that total weight. That's because sometimes people miscalculate. Also, load shift when you're driving, which is another topic on its own. Also, your truck can break suddenly due to situations. Really, there are many reasons why driving a truck that's on the border of its limit is never a good thing. So, while I won't be able to yet tell you the exact towing capacity for each EV truck for your specific driving situations, I can tell you the manufacturer's calculations. The Ford F-150 Lightning's towing capacity is a massive 10,000 pounds. If you think that's impressive, well, the Rivian R1T can tow more than 11,000 pounds. But that's nothing compared to Tesla's Cybertruck. Tesla's Cybertruck has an astonishing towing capacity of 14,000 pounds. Ram hasn't released the towing capacity of their 1500 electric pickup yet, but they did claim that it will be able to tow more than any EV truck competitor. So we're talking about 14,001 pounds, maybe? It'll be interesting to see if any EV truck can ever reach 20,000 pounds and what that will do to the battery. Now let's talk about payload. A vehicle's payload capacity is the maximum amount of weight it can safely carry. It refers to anything that you can load into your truck cabin and a truck's bed without breaking the suspension and voiding your warranty. Contrast that to an SUV or car, which includes the weight in the trunk and cabin. If you have a trailer attached to your vehicle, that payload also includes the weight of the trailer that's pushing down on the trailer hitch. That is known as tongue weight. Now I know what you're thinking. It sounds pretty similar to towing capacity. How is it different? Well, payload capacity is the amount of weight a vehicle can carry. Towing capacity is the amount of weight it can pull. That's why car makers usually refer to carrying weight in the bed of a truck as hauling, to distinguish it from towing or carrying weight in a trailer. Battery size also has an impact on your EV truck's payload capacity. The heavier the battery, the less payload your truck will be able to carry. Did you know that towing capacity is always higher than payload capacity? That's because, for example, you can pull more weight in a trailer than you'd ever be able to carry on your own shoulders. But payload capacity does factor into towing capacity. For example, say you're driving an SUV bursting at the seams with people and pulling a boat behind too. That's like you're pulling a trailer and carrying some weight on your shoulders at the same time. But remember, the more you load up the bed of your truck, the more strain you're putting on its mechanical components, and that means you can tow less weight. Payload capacity is calculated by taking your truck's GVWR and subtracting your truck's curb weight. Testing the structural integrity of your truck's suspension components, body, frame, and bed is what manufacturers do to calculate this number. You can find your truck's GVWR in your truck's manual. So, once you take your truck's GVWR and subtract its curb weight, you'll be able to calculate your truck's maximum payload capacity. But if you aren't a big fan of math, I have some good news for you. Ford has already taken the first step towards the future of payload calculation. Inside the 2021 Ford F-150, you can spec your ride with an onboard payload scale. The measured payload can be displayed on the truck's infotainment touchscreen. It can even be displayed on a phone if you have the Ford Pass app. But by far, the coolest place you can find your F-150's payload is on its LED taillights. These taillights are a lot like the battery icon at the top corner of your phone. You can tell the truck's load by the number of lights that are lit. But that's not the only cool payload feature on the F-150. In addition to the payload scale, it also has a smart hitch. The smart hitch is able to measure the tongue weight of any trailer that you're towing with the F-150. And it also is able to tell you if the number is dangerously high. So Ford has shown with past vehicles that there are alternatives to manually calculating the weight of your truck load. Speaking of Ford, what's the payload capacity of the F-150 Lightning? Its payload capacity is as high as 2,000 pounds for the standard range model and as low as 1,800 pounds for the extended range model. The Rivian R1T offers a payload capacity of 1,760 pounds. Tesla Cybertruck completely knocks it out of the park. We're talking up to 3,500 pounds. In their own words, the Cybertruck is the most powerful tool they've ever built. Not only is it engineered with 100 cubic feet of exterior lockable storage, but it even has a sliding bed cover that's strong enough to stand on. Pretty much, it's like a garage door. When it comes to the Ram 1500 electric pickup, there's no information about its payload capacity yet. When it comes to charging time, Ford offers 3 levels of home charging options. This includes the 32 amp Ford mobile charging unit that runs on 120 or 240 volt household AC. Ford claims the unit will fully recharge the standard range battery of the Lightning in 14 hours, and it'll fully recharge the extended range battery in 19 hours. Ford even offers an 80 amp Charge Station Pro. This shortens the charging time for the extended range battery to only 8 hours. But remember, all home chargers that draw more than 40 amps must be hardwired to the electrical wire instead of going through a plug, and that raises the total cost charged. The extended range battery is 131 kilowatt hours, while the standard range batteries provides 98 kilowatt hours of capacity. Now, here's something cool about the battery on the Rivian R1T. Back in February 2021, Rivian released test footage of the R1T pickup in temperature below freezing in Minnesota. Now, this is interesting because one of the major deterrents of battery cell efficiency is cold weather. Chemical reaction takes place inside each battery cell, but cold temperatures usually slow things down. But if you live in any snowy state, it's vital to keep your vehicle plugged in overnight. That's because it keeps the battery warm, which maintains performance and range. In a test in Minnesota, Rivian engineers kept the R1T cold soaking overnight at minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That technique imitates an EV being left unplugged outside overnight. And overnight is usually when batteries meet their coldest temperatures. Doing this helped Rivian engineers to begin refining the R1T's thermal control software, and it helped them to develop new self-heating strategies too. Did you know that if your power ever gets knocked out by a storm, you don't have to worry if you have a Ford F-150 Lightning? That's because with this truck, you can set up intelligent backup power to kick in and automatically power your home like a generator. All you have to do is make sure your home is properly equipped and you're ready for the storm. But of course, you could still buy a gasoline generator for a fraction of the cost, and it'll last you as long as you can refill the gasoline, whereas F-150 Lightning will eventually run out of power, in which case you'll have two problems, where your house and your car are out of service. All in all, considering the angles we looked at, my personal preference is the Ford F-150 Lightning. Yes, Cybertruck wins by specs. On paper, the Cybertruck completely smashes it out of the park in terms of driving range, towing capacity, payload, and battery power. But the thing is, it hasn't been built yet. Between now and then, anything could change. Until the rubber meets the road, I wouldn't consider it just yet. The Ram 1500 EV truck does sound promising, but not enough information that's been released to give any spot on my list. F-150 Lightning is the safest choice in my book. It's based on the F-150 design, which is one of America's most popular truck lines. And I'm sure with 320 miles range, it's good for getting the average job done. The only thing is that realistically, if you want an extended range version, then the starting price is nearly $72,500 plus another $10,000 to $15,000 fees for dealer markups, destination charges, and taxes. So we're talking about $85 grand here, give or take. That might surprise many people since it's advertised to start at $40,000. Believe me, that's not the truck you'll purchase, because that's the lowest trim with a standard range battery pack, and Ford's design department must have worked really hard to make it less desirable so that you go with a higher trim. But now you tell me, if you like the Ford, then would you go for the standard 230-mile range battery or the extended 320-mile range? Please share your opinion by commenting below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for your support.